Hi, I'm Torontosportsguy, and this is Last Week in Leafsland, where I run down all the news and events from the past week surrounding the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, last week was the official start of hockey season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's right, training camp started, and the Buds flew out to St. John's, Newfoundland for their preseason training camp. But there was a lot of uncertainty surrounding this team heading into training camp, as on the first day, Mitch Marner was still not signed, and everyone was freaking out. First day of training camp, Mitch isn't there. Everyone's worried that another Nylander scenario is going to happen, except this time with a 90-point player. But alas, on the first day of training camp, Kyle Dubas and Mitch came to an agreement, and it ended with a $10.893 million contract for the next 6 years. Big cap hit, yes, but Mitch is still a Leaf and will be that way for the next 6 years, locking up the Leafs' top 6 forwards all for the next 3 years until Kasperi Kapanen's up, and Matthews, Nylander, Marner, and Tavares are all locked up for at least the next 5 years. So all in all, in terms of keeping that core together, this is a pretty big win. Now, after a couple days of practices and skates in St. John's, the first round of cuts were made. 7 players were sent back to junior, most notably Semyon der-arguchintsev, otherwise known as SDA, who was the Leafs' second-round pick in 2018 and the youngest player taken in the 2018 draft. He had a bit of a step back last year, very disappointing for him to not get any preseason action, but hopefully he can find his swagger again this year in Peterborough, put up a fantastic season, and hopefully he can make a push to make the team next year, and if not, put himself in a position to be a solid player in the AHL next season and continue to improve. Also come from the team, Nick Robertson, who is the Leafs' highest pick in the most recent 2019 draft, taken in the second round. He's also going back to Peterborough, where he'll play with SDA in the OHL. In addition to the 7 players sent back to junior, 15 players were assigned back to the Marlies in the AHL. Of those, the most notable is Ian Scott, the prospect goaltender who won the CHL Goalie of the Year award last year and was Canada's backup during the World Juniors last winter. So he is expected to be one of the 2 big goalie prospects for the Leafs right now, along with Joseph Woll. But unfortunately, with Woll, Kaskisuo, and Hutchinson all still with the team, as well as Brandon Halverson and Michael Neuvirth on tryouts, there just isn't any room really to have Ian Scott playing in any NHL preseason games this year, so it's probably better to get him settled into the AHL right now. Due to the number of goalies we have in the system right now, he'll likely end up in the ECHL in St. John's, ironically, with the Growlers. Hopefully, wherever Ian Scott ends up this season, he is starting and getting a lot of minutes, because I have very high hopes for him in the coming years. So with all those cuts, the Leafs roster is now down to 54 players heading into their first preseason game tomorrow night. That's Tuesday the 17th. In St. John's, they're facing off against the Ottawa Senators. It should be a very fun, exciting match. Mitch Marner is going to be playing, which is nice and hype, getting him right in the lineup in the first possible preseason game. It's almost like there was no risk of a sit-out at all. So yeah, that's all that happened in the last week in Leafsland. If you like this video, hit like. If you want to see more of my stuff, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter. The link is down below in the description, and I will see you next time.